Welcome back to the Aiden Horner RC YouTube channel. Chat, we have very exciting times here in the 1/10 scale off-road scene as Team Associated has collaborated with Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, NASA, and every other great, powerful organization or person in the world to come together in Area 51 and create our new masterpiece, the RC10 B84. That's right, I have gotten to run this speed demon space shuttle advanced piece of technology a few times on the carpet CRC black carpet surface, and I'm going to give you a little rundown of how the build went, a little bit of tips and tricks, a little bit of comments on handling, kit setup, suggestions, and anything that your little heart may desire to get you out there with your B84 and just have the best experience possible. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Come on now, we got a new car. Let's go, baby. Exciting times. Come on, brand new car. Starting off with just some tips for the build. Really not much. Just a couple of things I ran into while I was building this car. The first is going to be right off the bat when you go to build it. It has you bolt the side guards onto the chassis, and then you put this center diff mount onto the chassis, and then there's a screw that runs through the bottom, through the center diff mount, through the chassis brace, and then into the other side of the center diff mount over here on both center diff mounts. So it's down here and down here. And the manual has you bolt the side guards on and then the diff mounts and then run the screws through. And I ran into a small issue there where once the side guards are on and the diff mounts are screwed to the chassis, the diff mount side guard coming up here does get in the way of the wrench when you're trying to put the bolt across the bottom of this. So my suggestion is to just put that screw through before you bolt the center diff mounts to the chassis. Aside from the center diff mount screw, the only other thing that you really need to watch out for when you are building this kit and following the kit setup is the kit setup, at least for now, has a small typo in it. It basically says to run the A pill insert in the center and the B pill insert out center, which basically toes in your front arms. And that's actually a typo in the kit setup. The actual kit setup is supposed to just say to run out center in the A and out center in the B. And just to verify that this is not the way to go with the error, we did run it with how it says to build it, and it was preferred to just go out center, out center. So I assume that that typo is going to be fixed eventually. I just know that the manual that came with my car had it kind of towed in the front arms, and I imagine it's going to be fixed eventually. But if you do have one of the first waves of kits, you could possibly have that typo in your manual, and that's just something to look out for. Another pit tip while you're building this car is when you're mounting these sway bars and you're putting the bar through the post, it's kind of natural. You kind of want to just make it flush to the end here just because it looks nice, but you're not going to want to do that on this car because there is going to be a little bit of excess bar hanging out the end when you get it perpendicular to the arm. So mine is pretty much all the way pushed back up into this kink, and that's pretty ideal setting right there, because what you want is you want the post to be perpendicular to the arm, and if you push it forward and you don't have any excess bar showing, then that means that essentially your sway bar post is kinked way forward, and what that does is it binds the suspension when you're at full droop, and it doesn't really work the same. So just because there's a little bit of excess bar hanging out there doesn't mean it's wrong. In fact, that means you're doing things right on this car. So that's just something to watch out for. And the front bar is the same. So just mount it, snug up this set screw when the post is perpendicular to the ground, and don't worry about the excess bar hanging out. On to the next pit tip with this space shuttle here. Also has to do with the sway bars. The sway bars are pretty important. You want to make sure that you mount them the proper way, or else they won't really be engaging the proper way on the track. So what you're going to want to do is make sure that there is the same amount of distance between the end of the collet and the kink on each side. That way you know that the bar is mounted in the center of the diff mount. And also, once you kind of get that squared away, you want to have just a little bit of side-to-side slop. That way it's not binding. If it doesn't go back and forth from side to side at all, that is an indication that there's a little bit of bind there. And for the final tip with the sway bar, you want to make sure your set screws are kind of out at the same angle, because if you have one set screw coming in from the top and one from the bottom, or if they're not together, then it does kind of kink the bar a little bit crookedly. So what you want to do is have it centered, have a little bit of side-to-side play, and make sure those set screws are perpendicular with each other and not causing any bind in the bar. If you do all those things, then your sway bar should be working properly, and it'll give you the best experience for the anti-roll bar that it can offer out there. Moving on over to the kit setup. A lot of you guys hear the term kit setup and you're like, can't possibly be that good. You know, you get a little bit scared by the term kit setup. But, you know, I'm going to be honest. Pretty blown away with how good the kit setup was. I just built it completely as the manual said, threw it down, and first battery pack, I mean, I was pretty impressed. I'm not even going to lie. Pretty easy to drive. I could use a lot of the steering wheel, super plush over the jumps. Yeah, not really much complaining from my end. The kit setup has 0 mil here, and I want it to be a little bit more responsive, so I added 2 mil there to kind of stiffen up the rear end. And I tested some 0 steering plates, which I also thought had some promise. The kit comes with +2. Other than that, I mean, this thing is box stock. You know, a lot of people freak out with different springs and show up to the track with 25 different spring boxes with a bunch of different manufacturer springs, and honestly the kit just comes with the associated orange rear, the purple front, and I wouldn't say that any other spring completely stood out compared to the kit springs. I tried some other stuff, but the kit springs hung in there strong. The kit setup hung in there strong. Yeah, I mean, not really much needs to be done in this car. I did build mine with the factory team carbon parts and some Kashima coated shock bodies, but I mean, that's just kind of the shock bodies are more just aesthetics. You know, I like the way the Kashima coat looks because you know, it's factory, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, I have the plastic rear arms on, the plastic hubs, just some carbon side guards and front arms and gearboxes. I'm not really sure how much of a difference the carbon parts actually make, because that's all I've ran it with, but I'd be shocked if I put the plastic ones on and thought it was much different. So I do think that the carbon parts are probably a little bit more durable, and I do believe they're also lighter weight. So that could be the plus of running them. But yeah, I just kind of built my car completely how the box said. I followed all the kit recommendations, threw it down, and right away I could orbit laps pretty easily. So I think there's not really much you need to do. Don't overthink it. Follow the kit setup. Start from there. And I think you should like it a lot. I see a lot of people kind of looked at the diff setup for the kit recommendation. It's a thinner front diff and a thicker rear. Don't be alarmed by that. It's kind of the way of the future for carpet, I think. It just makes the car even more easier to drive and a little bit more forgiving on the steering wheel. You can be a little bit more aggressive and just drive it a little bit harder, and the car just takes it when the diffs are set up like that. So don't be scared by the kit setup. let it roll, let it run, and I think you're going to enjoy your life out there. One of the unique features about this car that our old car didn't really have as much of is there's a lot of different ways to tune the chassis flex on this car. So you can obviously use the different material braces, and there's different inserts for in here. There's plastic or ball, and you can obviously run the different amount of screws. You can choose whether or not to run the screws like this one, or also change up the materials of this stuff. And honestly, that type of tunability with the chassis flex is going to be pretty big, I think, especially for carpet racing, just getting it how you prefer it to feel over like the transitions. All that stuff can make a pretty big difference. So I am pretty excited to mess with that stuff. I haven't really looked into it much. I just kind of followed the kit for now, but I will definitely be tuning the chassis flex for the upcoming events. Something I am pretty excited about with this new car is it does come in the kit with the decoupled slipper. Now, I do have a little bit of a tip for how to tune this depending on the track layout that you are running on. I would say for the bigger, more swept out tracks, like maybe if you run at Beachline, you'd want to run it a little bit looser. That way when you get on the brakes, the front end doesn't drop that much and you can carry more high speed, sweeping momentum without the car getting too upset with too much weight transfer or pitching. But if you run on a smaller track with a lot of 180s, or you're at a tighter layout, then you're going to want to run that decoupled slipper a little bit on the tighter side. That way you have more front end braking power, so you can get slowed down in time when you're charging into those 180s and you get on the brakes hard. All you got to do to adjust this setting is pop this bad boy out, and then there's a little screw in here. You just tighten it to tighten it up and loosen it to loosen it up. But pretty straightforward. Big swept out tracks with big flowing corners, I'd run it looser. And on the tighter tracks with more 180s, I would run that bad boy a little on the tight side. So I read the comments. I know there is some concern about the durability with this car, and mainly referring to the chassis. I know you guys see the narrow tabs and get a little bit disgruntled. You're a little bit worried. You're like, oh, what if I smoke the wall going 45 miles an hour and the chassis bends? Well, let me tell you, I don't think that you're going to have to worry about that, because the new chassis for the B84 is thicker than the chassis on our two-wheel. It's thicker than the chassis on the B74. So I do believe that also goes hand in hand with all of the flex tuning options that you can accommodate with the thicker chassis. But this thing's kind of beefed up. Chassis is thicker. I believe it's a 1/2 mil thicker, and that is going to make it a lot harder to bend. So hit the wall full throttle as much as you want. I mean, honestly, if you're hitting the wall full throttle, then it might bend just because, you know, you're hitting the wall full throttle. But I think it's going to be a lot more durable than you guys think with the added thickness. So no need to worry about that. Trust me when I say that I took some trips to the wall, to the pipe with this bad boy. I was going Mach 90 and just wadded this thing up real good. And guess what broke? Absolutely nothing. So I'm hoping the best for you guys to have that same experience. I think this bad boy is pretty darn durable, especially for how new it is. So yeah, smash it as much as you want, and it ain't gonna break. If there's anyone that's out there, and I know that there is, who just got a brand new painted body for their B74 just to see the release of this new car, and you're like, dang it, what am I gonna do? Does it fit? I got good news for you. The answer is yes, it fits. This is my lens body Urus 4 from Hot Race, and check it out. With zero trimming at all, zero modifications, straight off my old car. Would you just look at it? It fits perfectly, like a charm, like a glove. Don't hate on me too much, because I just don't quite have the proper chassis tape for this bad boy yet. But today's your lucky day because you can just still use that brand new body you just got, mount it right up like normal, slap it on there, and look at that. She's snug. I mean, this bad boy, it ain't going nowhere. Come on. Isn't that exactly what you wanted to hear? I know it is. I know it is. Yes. Finally, the question that everyone's been asking me, what everyone wants to know, how does it compare to the B74.2? And I gotta say, that's a little bit of a loaded question because the design, the platform itself doesn't really compare at all because pretty much all the parts are new. It's a totally new design, totally new platform, so you can't really compare the two designs of the car just because they're so much different. But I can tell you the differences I feel in driving both of them. Now, not the dog on the B74 too, but more often than not when I ran it on carpet, it was pretty nerve-wracking to drive. A lot of butt puckering going on. It was just super sharp and responsive on the wheel, which doesn't really make it very easy to complete 5-minute runs. Now, the new B84, I can say that is not really the case with this trusty steed because I threw it down, like I said, basically box stock, and instantly I could use so much of the steering wheel. I could really just mash on the foot feed, mash it on the foot feed, hammer in the wheel, and this thing just kind of took it. It was super plush over the jumps and the transitions, and I could just use a lot of the steering wheel, and it would just be really smooth. And it's like driving kickback on a Cadillac, you know what I'm saying? Still got the good corner speed to generate the lap times, but just a lot easier to be consistent from lap to lap because it just seems to be so much smoother to drive in comparison to the B74. So if you had a hard time stringing together consistent runs with the B74, I think that you're going to have a lot easier of a time just not crashing with the B84, and it's just going to be easier to get to that finish line, round out that run, round out that TQ run in P1, baby. Come on! But yeah, those are basically my notes from right off the bat with the car, and I really hope you guys can get these things built up into the track, and let me know how it goes. Leave a like, drop a comment, and yeah, get these things built up, run them. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you on the next video at HRC. Come on!